The second to last week of the Summer 18 season here in Rhode Island in the books. We had a second finals rematch that went the other way than the first finals rematch earlier this season. We're obviously going to start there, but then some other good games as teams start to separate themselves and the seeding gets a little clearer. We are unprepared, so don't expect playoff seeding matchups for this one. Mike's hungry. Tyler's fixing his hair pre-time. I'm dying of sweat. And this is the postgame show. So this is what you're stuck with. Mike Bandieri, Tyler Krusz. Am I saying that right?
Yeah. Bandieri.
Bandieri. It's Bandieri now. Stuff happens. I'm Joey Zocco. So we're going to start with Boom and Lob. Now both are going to have one loss. They both have won a game against each other this season. And so if they win next week, the tiebreaker will be RPI. That makes more work for me. I'm glad that Boom won. Thanks a lot for that. They did win 92-80. We're going with that. It was around a 10-point game. Nate Stitchell, you mentioned, got hot early. Lucas Martin had a big game. And I don't know if Boom trailed in the Boom trailed in the second half.
I don't think they did.
And it was a 10 to 15 point
The
margin
closest
throughout.
it was 8 coming into crunch time, but Stitchell started hot. He really stayed hot. Mikey Palumbo was missing from Lob City, and he guarded Stitchell in the last game, so that could be a big reason. But Stitchell with 31 tonight, Lucas Martin 22, and it seemed whenever Lob was knocking on the door, Stitchell would come down and hit a 3, or Volatile would come down and do something, or Lucas Martin would hit 3 from no man's land. So it just seemed that they always had an answer for Lob City when they came knocking at the door.
Did you see that?
I wasn't. The only play I saw from that game, actually, the other game ended, and I came over here and I saw Nate do that 360 dunk. And I was like, well,
That was pretty cool.
That caps it off.
Yeah.
That caps
And for
off
Lob
that
City,
way.
Mikey scored, I think, 30 in the last game. He's been up there 30s, 20s. They really miss him tonight. Darius was their leading scorer with 24. Victor and Cody were in double figures, but they weren't where they usually are. So really looking for the explosion. They never really went on their run.
Right.
And you know how they go on that 20-point run where they absolutely blow teams out of the water. That never happened tonight.
And that's a big point as to why Boom was able to win.
Yeah.
When you limit that type of run, it helps your chances. So both of those teams with one loss sit at 7-1, as I mentioned. I swear I was listening while you were talking. I was doing math about how if both those teams win next week, they are the top 2 seeds in some order. Let's get to the Swish Kebabs, who are the only 2-loss team now.
What math was involved in that?
Adding one number to a previous number. It's also small handwriting. All right, so Swish Kebabs 6-2, take down the halfway crooks. They now have 2 losses. They now control their own destiny for that 3 seed, which helps in some of the matchups in the quarterfinals where every team does make the playoffs. But Swish Kebabs win. Halfway crooks shorthanded, and it was still a close game.
Yeah.
Some funky stuff at the end, but it was a single-digit game.
Basically throughout the whole game. Even at the halftime, it was a single-digit game. Swish may have gotten a lead, but you guys were always there, either making a lead change. I swear there were 8 possessions in a row with a lead change. So you guys, they were right there, and it was more of a defensive game, really, where both teams were kind of figure out how to break the defense and go on to that scoring run. Swish Kebabs just able to score a little bit better at the end.
I think you guys just missed a couple of key shots at the end. You had one of those 3s over there, I think, when you guys were only down 3.
Yeah, it was mine, thanks.
Yeah, and you missed that, and then I think it might have been on the same possession or the next possession, you guys missed another one when you were it was a pretty good look, and when you lose by 3 like that, those shots come up a lot bigger than what they were at the time.
Every bucket counts.
Yeah.
Every play, and that's what it comes down to. Werewolves improved to 5-3, take down the Wild Hogs, now 1-7. Can you and Bones come to a game at the same week, or no? Are we going to do that, or no?
We're going to hope next week.
Next week's the week. All right, saving the best for last.
I feel like we've been
hopefully.
saying that since week 1.
Just about.
I think we had, 2 or 3 games together. And
Well, you got all his rebounds tonight.
Yeah.
21 rebounds.
That's the most I think I've ever had in a game. Personal best.
Really?
21's a lot.
21 rebounds, yeah.
That's a lot.
30 points, 21 rebounds. Almost
Werewolves 5-3 now control their own destiny with 3 losses for the 4 seed. Halfway crooks and bucket chasers now have the same record. We're going to get to that game at 3-5. That'll be for the 5-6 seed when they play next week. And so that's what we're kind of getting to. But first, the Werewolves take down the Wild Hogs. About a 10, 12-point game throughout. It got close in the third quarter. You guys hit some shots, had a couple steals. We're doing Wild Hogs-y things. And then it was all Werewolves. But, maybe you can go first on this one. I mean, no bones hurts, but
Yeah.
what was the key?
Honestly, I got really tired towards the end, and I think a lot of times the Wild Hogs we come out hot, and then in that second quarter, I don't know what it is, we can't keep the momentum going into the halftime, and we end up always losing a lead.
Yeah,
And that happened tonight.
You were up 21-13 after the first quarter,
and then
I
at
blinked, it
halftime
was
we were
31-21.
down. Yeah.
Doug Heston went on a 9-0 run himself
Yeah.
with 3 dunks and a 3.
We don't really have anyone that can match up with him that well. I can guard Gino. I think he only had 6 points. I don't know. Maybe they just scored more points than us.
They scored. There you go. That's usually how you win a basketball game. Bucket Chasers did just that, scoring more points than Shake and Bake. One ref called it the ugliest game he's seen all year. That's not a compliment. It is a very serious statement. But Shake and Bake still looking for that first win. They take on the Wild Dogs in a rematch of an overtime game last calendar week.
I'll
from
be there.
week
It
5.
won't be overtime this
There
week.
you go. So we got a little guarantee on the post-game show this week. But Bucket Chasers do win. You were over there.
Yeah.
If you want to chime in on that one quickly. I mean, there's not
I just think Bucket Chasers has had too much. They
too physical.
Yeah, Truslow had a really big game. He was getting like every rebound. He was going coast to coast. And when you have a big man like that going coast to coast, nobody wants to stop him. Nobody wants to step in front of him. They just killed him on the boards. Shake and Bake missed a ton of shots. One kid on their team, I think, shot like 8%.
It's not great.
No, it's really tough to win like that. But they had fun. Like they don't seem to like get down on themselves. They like have each other's
They do.
backs, which is always cool. Like that's good to see.
I was talking to a couple people after the game, and Shake and Bake, really the consensus is they don't really have an offense.
Right. Yeah.
They have trouble scoring the basketball, and when you do that, it's really tough to win games, especially close ones, especially against teams that are better than you.
Exactly. So one more week for the regular season and then the playoffs. Every team will make that, and we will have those matchups for you next week when we are here. But that does it for Week 8. Week 9, and then August is playoff month in all the leagues. So once the calendar turns, it's like August Madness. Is that a thing? Can we
Sure.
Can we think
It
of
is now.
some matching letter? March Madness is.
I'll
always
think of an
fun.
alliteration.
All right, I'll leave it up to Krusz in the pod. Tune into the pod. Power rankings and top plays as the regular season here from Johnston comes to a close. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you for the final week of the regular season.